Good evening and welcome to my channel. Trump just dismissed reports that his top military general warned against Iran war, claiming those warnings are 100% incorrect and that General Dan Caine actually supports military action. 100% incorrect. That's Trump directly contradicting multiple media outlets reporting that Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff advised caution about significant risks in strikes against Iran. And simultaneously, Israeli intelligence just obtained satellite proof that Iran has activated biochemical weapons program developing chemical and biological warheads for long-range ballistic missiles through Revolutionary Guard Aerospace Force operations that Western intelligence agencies are tracking with increased surveillance right now, not theoretical future capability. Operational program that has accelerated in recent months, specifically to counter potential American and Israeli strikes. Netanyahu is in Florida today meeting Trump to brief him on strike options. Using this satellite intelligence proving Iran's unconventional weapons development creates existential threat, requiring preemptive strike before chemical and biological warheads become fully weaponized and mounted on missiles capable of reaching Israeli cities and American bases throughout Middle East. Let me reveal why Trump's dismissal of military warnings combined with Israeli proof of Iranian biochemical weapons proves preemptive strike is not just option, but necessity before weapons of mass destruction become operational reality. Reports emerged Monday that General Dan Caine, chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff and highest-ranking officer in U.S. military, met with Trump and aides warning that military campaign against Iran could carry significant risks. Significant risks is military language meaning operation could result in substantial American casualties, equipment losses, regional instability, and potential escalation to wider conflict. General Caine reportedly advised caution on possible attack amid fears of retaliatory strikes. This is top military officer in America telling Commander-in-Chief that attacking Iran is dangerous and consequences could be severe. Not junior analyst, not political appointee. The chairman of Joint Chiefs whose job is providing president with honest military assessment, regardless of political pressures. But Trump immediately hit out at these reports, calling them 100% incorrect. President slammed media coverage stating that characterization of General Caine's position is completely false. Trump insists his top general supports military option and warnings about risks are media fabrication or mischaracterization. This creates fascinating dynamic. Either media outlets are misreporting private military briefings, or Trump is publicly contradicting his own military leadership to maintain aggressive posture toward Iran. Both scenarios are extraordinary. If General Caine actually warned against war and Trump is dismissing those warnings, this proves President is overruling military advice to pursue operation that professional soldiers believe carries unacceptable risks. This would be repeat of historical pattern where political leaders ignore military caution and proceed with campaigns that professional officers warned against. If Trump is correct that reports are false and General Caine actually supports war, then America's top military officer has assessed Iranian threat as sufficiently serious to justify military action despite risks. This would indicate professional military judgment concludes that allowing Iran to continue current trajectory is more dangerous than accepting costs and risks of preventive war. Trump's categorical dismissal using phrase 100% incorrect suggests he wants no ambiguity about military's position. President is stating for record that his military leadership backs his Iran policy, and any reports suggesting otherwise are completely wrong. But why would multiple respected media outlets report generals' warnings if they're entirely fabricated? CBS News, other major outlets all carried similar reports about Caine's caution. These organizations typically have multiple sources and confirmation before publishing stories about classified military briefings. More likely explanation is that General Caine did express concerns about operations risks as professional military responsibility requires, but Trump interprets those routine caution advisories as support for operation rather than opposition. In military culture, expressing risks doesn't mean opposing mission. It means ensuring commander understands challenges before making decision. Trump may be technically correct that General Caine isn't opposing war, while media interprets risk warnings as opposition because civilian reporters don't understand military communication culture, where officers express concerns while still executing orders they might privately doubt. Regardless of whose interpretation is accurate, practical effect is clear. Trump is moving forward with Iran military planning regardless of any cautionary advice from military professionals. Whether general supports or opposes operation becomes irrelevant when president has decided course of action. Now let's expose Iranian biochemical weapons program that Israeli satellite intelligence has documented, proving Tehran is developing chemical and biological warheads for ballistic missiles, creating weapons of mass destruction, threat that justifies preemptive military action. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is developing biological and chemical warheads for country's long-range ballistic missiles, according to informed military sources, who spoke to Iran International on condition of anonymity. These aren't rumors or speculation. These are sources with direct knowledge of IRGC programs, providing specific details about unconventional weapons development. IRGC Aerospace Force is working on unconventional warheads for ballistic missiles while simultaneously transferring missile launchers to eastern regions of Iran. This coordination between warhead development and launcher repositioning suggests operational preparation, not just research program. Sources say these activities have accelerated in recent months. Accelerated means program has moved from slow development phase into urgent operational preparation. This timing corresponds exactly with period when American military buildup in region intensified and diplomatic talks repeatedly failed to produce Iranian concessions. Programs are being pursued amid rising regional tensions and Tehran's concerns about possibility of another direct confrontation with Israel and United States. Iran is developing weapons of mass destruction specifically as deterrent against American and Israeli military action. This is defensive motivation from Iranian perspective, but creates offensive threat from Western viewpoint. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is in Florida meeting Trump today to brief President on options for potential future strikes against Iran. Netanyahu is bringing satellite intelligence, signals intercepts, human intelligence reports, and analysis proving Iranian biochemical weapons development is active operational program, not hypothetical future concern. Israeli intelligence capabilities regarding Iranian programs are extraordinary. Mossad has repeatedly demonstrated ability to penetrate Iranian security, obtaining documents, materials, and human sources revealing Tehran's most sensitive military projects. If Netanyahu is briefing Trump about biochemical warheads, Israeli intelligence has concrete proof, not speculation. Sources say programs are largely carried out under supervision of IRGC Aerospace Force and include optimizing ballistic missiles to carry chemical and biological agents, plus upgrading associated command and control systems. Optimization means engineering missiles for specific payload requirements that chemical and biological weapons create. These agents have different weight, volume, dispersal requirements than conventional explosives. Command and control upgrades prove Iran is preparing to actually use these weapons, not just develop them for symbolic deterrence. Operational command systems are what enable launching, targeting, and detonating weapons during conflict. Building these systems proves intent to employ weapons if circumstances require. Revolutionary Guard, anticipating scenarios of large-scale conflict, is building capabilities that would serve as complementary deterrent factor alongside Iran's conventional missile program, according to sources. Complementary deterrent means unconventional weapons supplement conventional forces, creating multi-layered threat that adversaries must account for when planning military operations. Pursuit of chemical and biological warheads comes 6 months after Iran's foreign minister described his country as largest victim of chemical weapons in modern history, citing Saddam Hussein's chemical attack on Sardasht, killing more than 100 people. This creates profound irony where nation that suffered from chemical weapons is now developing same capability it condemned. When asked about this contradiction, source told Iran International that Iranian leadership views potential Israeli and American attacks as threat to its very existence and intends to significantly raise cost for opposing side during any conflict. Cost means casualties. Chemical and biological weapons kill in horrific ways that conventional weapons don't. Using them would create international condemnation, but also impose casualties that might force early conflict termination. There is perception at highest decision-making levels of Islamic Republic that use of unconventional weapons can be justified in situations of existential threat, according to sources. This is critical admission. Iranian leadership has convinced itself that deploying weapons of mass destruction is morally acceptable if regime survival is at stake. This rationalization creates a dangerous scenario where Iran might actually use chemical and biological weapons, believing their deployment is justified defensive action against aggression, when international community would view it as war crime requiring overwhelming response. Last week, Iran International reported Western intelligence agencies identified unusual activities by IRGC Aerospace Force and increased monitoring and surveillance of these movements. Unusual activities is intelligence language meaning patterns that differ from normal operations, suggesting something significant is occurring. Intelligence services are tracking command and control signals, plus deployments and logistical movements linked to force. This is comprehensive surveillance where Western agencies monitor communications, track personnel and equipment movements, observe testing activities, and collect all available information about program status. Israeli satellites are undoubtedly providing overhead imagery showing facility construction, equipment installations, transportation of materials, and personnel activities at sites associated with biochemical weapons development. Satellite proof means visual evidence that courts and international organizations could examine validating claims about Iranian programs. Military analysts told Iran International that if reports are confirmed, development of chemical and biological warheads could drastically alter region's deterrence balance and trigger broad international reactions. Drastic alteration means fundamental change, where previous military calculations become obsolete, requiring completely new strategies. Deployment of such weapons would face widespread global condemnation and could pave way for additional sanctions and intensified pressure on Tehran. But condemnation and sanctions after deployment are too late. Once weapons exist and are mounted on missiles, diplomatic pressure becomes meaningless, because Iran possesses capability to inflict mass casualties regardless of international disapproval. This is precisely why preemptive strike becomes necessary before weapons reach operational status. Destroying biochemical warheads after they're built and dispersed across Iran is exponentially more difficult than destroying development facilities before production begins at scale. Tehran has consistently denied any effort to acquire unconventional weapons and declared itself committed to international obligations. These denials are standard diplomatic posture that nations developing prohibited weapons always maintain until caught with undeniable proof. Over recent years, Iran has steadily increased range, accuracy, and variety of its ballistic missiles. This missile program creates delivery system for chemical and biological warheads. Having sophisticated missiles without warheads is less threatening than having both missiles and weapons of mass destruction. Netanyahu's briefing to Trump today provides opportunity for Israeli intelligence to present comprehensive case about Iranian biochemical weapons development. Satellite imagery showing facility construction, signals intelligence proving command system development, human intelligence from sources inside Iranian programs confirming operational status. Trump's dismissal of General Caine's reported warnings proves President is determined to pursue military option regardless of cautionary military advice. If Trump was seeking reasons to avoid war, he would embrace reports that top general warns of risks. Instead, he categorically rejects those reports, maintaining aggressive posture. Combination of Trump's war determination plus Israeli intelligence proof of biochemical weapons creates perfect conditions for preemptive strike decision. President wants to act. Intelligence provides justification. Military forces are positioned, and diplomatic alternatives have been exhausted through repeated failed negotiations. Preemptive strike is needed specifically because waiting allows Iranian biochemical weapons program to reach operational status, where destroying capabilities becomes significantly more difficult and costly. Striking now eliminates threat before it fully materializes. Striking later means attacking operational weapons of mass destruction, creating contamination risks, dispersal concerns, and potential for Iranian use before destruction. Military strategists universally agree that destroying weapons of mass destruction programs before they become operational is preferable to attacking after weapons are built and deployed. Once chemical and biological warheads are mounted on missiles and distributed across Iran, eliminating threat requires hundreds of strikes against hardened, concealed, or mobile targets rather than concentrated attacks on known development facilities. Israeli satellite proof provides targeting information that strike planners need. Knowing which facilities are developing warheads, where command systems are located, which personnel are critical to programs enables precision strikes, eliminating capabilities while minimizing collateral damage. Trump's position that General Caine backs war, whether accurate interpretation or dismissal of caution, clears political obstacle where president could claim military leadership opposes operation. With top general either supporting or being overruled, Trump has military authority to order strikes without concern about Pentagon opposition. Netanyahu's Florida briefing today likely includes specific strike package recommendations based on Israeli intelligence. Options might include limited strikes destroying known biochemical facilities, comprehensive campaign eliminating entire IRGC Aerospace Force infrastructure, or combined American-Israeli operation where both nations participate in attacks. Iranian repositioning of missile launchers to eastern regions proves Tehran is preparing for conflict by dispersing assets away from known bases, where American intelligence has targeting data. This dispersal makes counterforce strikes more difficult, but also suggests Iranian military expects attacks and is taking protective measures. Western intelligence tracking of IRGC command and control signals provides electronic signature that can be targeted even when physical launchers are hidden. Destroying command systems prevents coordinated launch operations, limiting Iranian retaliation effectiveness, even if individual missiles survive strikes. Accelerated biochemical weapons development in recent months proves Iran is racing against time, understanding that diplomatic track is failing and military option is approaching. Tehran wants operational deterrent deployed before American and Israeli strikes eliminate development capability. This creates urgency, where striking sooner prevents weapons reaching operational status, while striking later confronts deployed chemical and biological capabilities that are exponentially more dangerous to attack. Trump's 100% incorrect dismissal of military warnings signals presidential determination, overriding any institutional caution. General Caine's actual position becomes irrelevant when Commander-in-Chief has decided course of action and is publicly rejecting any narrative suggesting military opposition. Israeli proof through satellite intelligence, signals intercepts, and human sources provides overwhelming evidence justifying preemptive strike before weapons of mass destruction become operational reality rather than development program that can still be eliminated. Biochemical warheads on ballistic missiles create existential threat to Israel and American forces throughout region. Chemical and biological weapons inflict casualties that conventional defenses cannot prevent. Once operational, these weapons fundamentally alter regional security, requiring completely new military strategies. Preemptive strike needed before program reaches operational status. Trump backs military action regardless of reported warnings. Israeli intelligence proves threat is real and urgent. An IRGC acceleration of development proves Tehran understands timeline is compressing toward inevitable military confrontation. The general's position is clarified or dismissed. The biochemical weapons are being built. The satellite proof exists. And preemptive strike becomes necessary before weapons of mass destruction transform Iranian threat from manageable to catastrophic.